So what I was saying, so Git is something like which you would be using as a software developer a lot in the sense every day you will be using it. Okay, and today we'll be going through Git. Why do we need Git? What is a version control system? Where does Git come in that, right? And what is GitHub, right? We'll be talking about all that stuff. We'll be creating a small project, not a project, but yeah, sort of a, we'll be pushing our changes, like whatever are things we have in our system, we'll be pushing it to GitHub. Okay, so that all we'll be doing that. So I'll be covering all that stuff, Ashutosh. Don't worry. I'll tell you what is it, like how does it work. What is a version control? So we'll talk about what is a version control. Okay, that's our first thing. Then we'll be talking about Git and GitHub. So what is Git and GitHub? Okay. Then we'll be talking about how to install and configure. अच्छा, you guys must be thinking right now कि मीरो में इतनी बेकार हैंड राइटिंग है तो उसमें कितनी बेकार होगी, किसमें, जैम बोर्ड में, राइट? And then we'll be talking about Git commands as well. Okay, we'll be talking about Git commands as well. It's not as, see, because see, it looks like a pen, but when you type it, when you write it, right, it is not like a paper where I'm writing it. So थोड़ा difficult होता है. Difficult नहीं होता, मतलब you get used to it. I'm getting used to it. So yeah, but I think it is still readable. So I guess the handwriting is somewhat all right. Okay, so let's start the topic then. Okay, so what is a version control? We have to understand. Version control means that we are controlling the version. Okay, we are controlling the version. Now when I'm talking about Git and GitHub, see, it is not just for the coding as such. Okay, yeah, Anurag, I'll be covering that thing as well. So yeah, that is what I'm coming to. So when we talk about version control, right, it is not just for a developer, right? It is not just for writing code and all that stuff. It could be used in any of the scenarios. Okay, now what these scenarios are, let's talk about it. Okay, let's consider, we'll not take coding as an example right now because we have not started coding as of now, right? So let's just put this thing aside, the coding aside, for a minute. Now let's consider I have a new folder here. Okay, so suppose you are you are in a company or somewhere you are. Okay, what you are doing there is you need to have, let me just delete all this thing. So you have one file there. Okay, just simple file you have. So I have created say one file. Okay, and this is say this is some data which you have. Okay, so this is your data.txt. Okay, now what does it have? For example, it has the details of a user. Just think like this, right? It can have a detail of the user. So for example, it has like first, the name is Neeraj. Okay, and what he has done like say BTech. Okay, then second, I'm taking say Anurag has done, I don't know, say MBA. Okay, and then we have say Harsh. So Harsh is there, and Harsh is doesn't say BCA. Okay, so this is what we have. So this is one data which we have. Okay, and let's save this thing. Cool. Now what happens, right, when you have a file, over the time, that file will have a lot of changes, correct? That means, see, today you have one data, tomorrow you may want to put another data, correct? Now if I do the change in the same file, for example, right now this data.txt, it is telling that it has these three records. We can consider them as a three records right now, correct? Now, tomorrow there is some new guy came in. Say Piyush is here with us. So say Piyush has joined a company. Say this is a detail about some company. Now Piyush has come, so I'll come here and I'll just write. Say 4 is Piyush. Okay. Piyush. Okay. Now what I did, I saved this file again. Okay. Now what exactly I'm doing? I'm making the changes. I'm making the changes to the same file every time. That is one thing. So we do not have the version for it. For example, we do not know. So for example, now once I have made the change, say tomorrow somebody is coming. So because in this company, right now we have said 10 people or something like that. They are coming and opening the file. So I open the file, I see four things. So for me, I will not know, right? I won't know that whether something like what exactly has been changed. For example, Piyush has been added. Now when the Piyush got added, right? And what was there before Piyush? Like, for example, was it just Harsh, Anurag, or Neeraj? Or was it just Neeraj and then Anurag was added, then Harsh was added, right? For example, somebody could come and make a change like this, right? And he could move this Anurag on the top and say Neeraj here, right? That is one thing he could do. Save it, come here. Now, the only thing which I know on this file is the time when it got modified, it, right? But what happened to this file? What all stages it went to? Like, what was there earlier? Then what happened? Then what happened? Right? That data we are not able to get. Right? We are not able to maintain the history exactly, Rahul. So, are you able to understand till this far? Anybody has any doubt? What is the problem we are having if we have a normal file system? Right? See, there is one solution for it. Now, one solution could be, let's just consider that we are going to be following that solution. Okay. So, usme kya hai? Consider we initially had just this. Okay. We had this. So, this is my original file. I can just say this is my original data file. So, I could do something like this. So, this is the file which I started with. Right. This is the file which I started with. So, I can do something like this. I could just say data hyphen original. Okay. That means this is my original file. Okay. Uh, so it is okay, Anurag. I'll do it, but nothing there in the text as such. So it's not that you have to follow the text by any means. Text is just some text. Consider that way. Okay. So we have this data as original file. So first thing I'm considering. Up now, consider I need to make a change to this file. Now I need to make a change to this file. One thing which I did earlier, that I took the file and made the changes directly there itself. Right. That is one thing which we did. The other thing which I could do, a solution, this could be a solution, right? That I'll take this file, copy this file, and paste it here. This is my second file. I'll change the name of it. Okay, I'll change the name of it. I'll say this is data version 2. This is a version 2, and then I can say the date also, right? For example, this is say 24 March, something like this, 2023. So I have created a new file, gave a version name to it, okay, came here and added a new entry, 3. Okay, here I'll say I have added Piyush. Okay, and I'll save the changes. So now we have original file. So basically now we are able to maintain the history. First file was this, then this is the latest file. Okay, then said tomorrow we again have to make a change. So I'll take a copy of this file, put it here. Okay, this is my copy file. I'll change this version. I'll change this version from 2 to 3. Okay, and say today, so consider the date is set 26 March, and then you just remove this thing, and here you come and you make another change here. You make another change. So Piyush, from Piyush, you added Rahul. Okay, again, I'm not writing BTech and all, but yeah, you get the idea. So this is one way that we could resolve the problem. Correct? Now we are able to track what was happening with the file. Right now it is easy for me to because I can see this. I'll be like, okay, this says first that was data.original. Okay, then version 2 came up. That means initially I was having this data, then this data came up, then this is the data, and whichever is the latest file is the file which is having the all the data. Correct? Agree, everyone? Anybody has any doubt? So we were able to solve the problem in a way, right? Correct. Acha, one more thing, guys. When you say no, right, I will expect that you did not understand. So if you understood, don't put anything. Just give a thumbs up. I'll be able to understand that you guys understood it. Okay. So if you say no, that means you did not get it. So Ayush, I hope you got it right. So Ashish is saying no. So again, when you say no, Ashish and Vivek, that means you did not get it. Tell me what part you did not get it. Okay. So Vivek and Ashish, what is it that you did not understand? Any specific around, like any like something you could say ki, this is something I did not understand. I'm just waiting for your reply. No, so version, Anurag, I'm talking about how the, like, so for example, it's consider this. When I'm talking about version, I'm saying talking about it's not type exactly. A type of a file could be different, right? For example, here we are just talking about a text file, so the type is essentially the same, right? When I'm talking about version, what I'm saying is different changes which are happening to the file, okay, when those changes were made. So for example, when you initially start with one file, okay, you have some changes, right? Then you tomorrow you want to make more changes to it, so basically that's going to be another version of it, okay, because new changes has come up. Original file has something different, and this new file has something different, so it is a version, a different version. Say after day after tomorrow again you want to make some changes to the same file, right? Now why this version maintaining is important, because it is not just one person who is working on the file, correct? Say consider you have 10-20 people in a team who is working with same one file, right? And there could be a possibility there is one teammate, say consider he's not coming to office for 2 days, he was sick or something like that, and within 2 days somebody has changed the entire file, right? Then that guy will won't know what has happened, like what was the changes before and what was the changes after, because for him that will be just one file which is having some new changes, and all the old changes which this guy knew about is gone, correct? Now you understood, Anurag? uh, Rohit is asking, sir, how to change the version. No, no, no. So we are not changing the version as such, Rohit. The idea is for our own, for our own, what we are doing, we are just, whenever we are making changes to our file, right, we are creating a new file with a version name saying that this is a version 2, this is a version 3. This, that means third time I have changed the file, fourth time I have changed the file, fifth time I have changed the file, so I'm considering that as a new version, and whenever a new change I'm having, right, I'm putting it there. For example, initially I started with the data file, right? So it had only Anurag and Neeraj ka data, right? Then I opened, then I wanted to add more data to it, right? Say I want to add Piyush as well. So I created a second version. So I took the same file, just gave a different name to it, so that now I'll be keeping two files. So I'll be having two version of the same thing, right? Then third one, this is also having the same version, but now I have added Rahul. Correct? Got it? So Ashish, how that person will get to know, right? How he can know, right? Obviously, he can see, okay, data initially, say for consider I am that person, okay? I am that person. So initially, say when I was in the company, what I did, I just opened the file. So I knew Anurag and Neeraj was there. Okay, that's what I did. Now say I came after 2 days. After 2 days, I came and I see there is a new version. The latest version is this. So I'll open this file and I'll see, oh, Piyush and Rahul got added, right? So this is a new data which has been added, correct? And if I go back to a different file, I can see, okay, on 24th March, somebody added Piyush, like that. That is how that person will get to know. Now, see, this is just a naming convention which I'm putting. It is not necessary that you have to have like this. Again, I'm just telling you about a problem which we had. What could be the solution for it? So this is one of the solution which probably we could have. But again, this is not the solution which we actually use, because this solution has a problem. See, it works in our case because we are able to maintain the version. Okay, through this we are able to maintain the version, but the problem with this thing is every time if I need to make a change, what I'm doing, I'm copying the previous file, then I'm myself making a change, writing that version is 3, version is 4, or something I'm writing with the version, right? Every time I have to manually do all that stuff, correct? I'm able to maintain the history, but the problem is, what is the problem? It is more difficult, right? It is difficult to manage. And the other problem which this approach has is, I do not know who made the change. I do not know who made the change. Who was the person who created this file? I don't know. Who was the person who changed the second version? I do not know. Who is the person who made a change in version 3? I do not know, right? So we solve one problem, but there is another problem which came up. That means we are not able to track the people who made the changes. Agree, everyone? Correct. Now let's consider a scenario that in this particular case, Consider that we are like, not we, like, say some of us, like, consider there is this company. Okay, we are working in a company called XYZ. So we are working for XYZ. Okay, and say who is the team lead. Okay, say I am your team lead. Okay, Neeraj, or manager or team lead or whoever. Okay, then we have some team members. Say I have Anurag. Okay, say I have, say, Ayush. Sorry. Okay, say I have, say, Pooja. Okay, and say I have who, Nikhil. Okay, so these are the few teammates I have. Okay, now what these people do, obviously we are maintaining some file. Consider that, not one file. Say we are maintaining a lot of files, we are writing code. So these are the code files. Consider that. Okay, a lot of code we are writing, we are developing software, right? We are doing a lot of good stuff. So this is that thing. Okay, now what happens, we are following, say, the same approach which we were having earlier, right? Every time we make a file, we create a copy of it and make the changes to it. We come and make the changes of it, we come and we make changes, and whichever is the latest file, we know that is having the all the changes. And if you want to know what all changes has been done in this file over the time, through, so that we can get it through the history. So we can check the history and we'll get to know what all changes were done. Okay, that is all. Now what happened, all of a sudden Pooja thought, okay, I want to leave this company. I don't want to work here. Okay, I don't want to work here. And she got a call, say, from Amazon. Okay, she's like, I want to join Amazon and all that thing. And she told me that she's gonna leave and all that stuff. And say I tried to, I basically said something to her she did not like. So what she thought, okay, this guy is acting very smart, right? I'll show him. So what she'll do, let's just consider the situation. So what she did, she came here and she just deleted all the files. She came and deleted all the files. See, she had the access to make the changes to the file, right? So she can delete the files also. So उसने कहा ठीक है, deleted. Now when I asked Pooja that, Pooja, why did you do this thing? Now Pooja said, I did a mistake. Okay, I just did a mistake. Now what can I do? I can't do anything to the Pooja, right? Because Pooja did it by mistake. Now what I can do? The files are being deleted. I don't really have any other option. Now me being the team lead, right? I'm the team lead, and obviously there's gonna be a manager on top of me, right? That guy will be like, dude, you were not able to handle Pooja. Pooja was the one who, I'll be like, Pooja is the one who deleted it, but I was the lead, right? I was supposed to manage everything. So because of this, what happened? Pooja to got Amazon and she went to Amazon because she had an offer, but I did not have anything, and these people have fired me because I was not able to maintain the code and all that stuff, right? So Pooja to गई Amazon और मैं चले गया कहाँ? So she went to Amazon company, I went to Amazon forest. ठीक है? So that kind of a situation can come up, right? So you got the problem. What is the problem? That's the problem here. Now, the main problem here is that we were able to maintain this thing, entire thing, but we are not able to maintain who, when, and why made the changes. Who made the changes, why they made the changes, when they made the changes, all that stuff I do not know. Okay? That's all. Okay, so that's the problem with the normal system. Now, to solve all these things, we came up, not we in the sense, people came up with the concept of version control system. So that is where we have this software or a program, okay, version control system. Okay. Now this version control system, what it did, it basically solved all the problems which we had earlier. Okay, plus it provided us more features. Okay. Sorry. Plus it provided us more features. So what those features could be? And other people, so some people call it as a version control system. Some people also call it as source control system. They can call it as a source control system as well. Now why they call it as a source control system? Because the source is actually usually being called as source code. So whenever you write a code, right, so that is usually considered as a source code. That means the main code which you are writing is a source code. So you are maintaining a code, so you call it as a source control system as well, but mostly the more popular name is a version control system, because essentially it is doing version, right? And again, as I said, the version control system which we'll be talking about, say Git, it can be used in all the scenarios. It can be used in a normal scenario where you have a, say, word file or any type of file which you are, trying to have a version for. Okay. Now can I get it on the chat if anybody is having any doubt with whatever I have told so far? Any small doubt, anything? Okay. Okay. Now this is all what we have. Okay. Now after something like a version control system came up, right, we'll take the same scenario, right? We are in the same company, same stuff. Okay. And we also have the same setup, right? And we also have files, okay, which we are making change in. Okay. But this time these files are not like this. Okay. We are not the one who are maintaining these files. We are not the one who are maintaining these files. We have something called a version control system. Okay. We have this system. Okay. Now what we're gonna be doing? What is the conditions for version conditions? Conditions as in what, Anurag? I mean, you're saying why we need a version control, so I guess that's one of the condition that we need a version control. Any condition समझ में नहीं आया मुझे. What do you mean by condition? Conditions for version control system. Can you change, like, rephrase your question maybe? Acha, so what I was saying, now we are talking about this another scenario, right, where we have a version control system. Now how does the thing work here? Now say suppose we have a file. Okay. Now what will happen? The main file will actually stay with the version control system. With the version control system will have that file with us, with it. Okay. Now say Anurag want to make a change to the file. Anurag want to make a change in the file. What Anurag has to do? Anurag has to first request the file from the version control system, that boss, give me that file. Anurag will get the copy of that file. He will get the copy of that file. Okay. Now what he will do? He will make a change to that file. He will make a change to the file, and then he will make his changes. He will give those changes to the version control system. That boss, these are my changes. You take it. These are my changes. You take it. Now what version control system will do? Internally, it will create a new copy of the file which is having the changes of Anurag. Okay. And on top of it, it will also maintain the record that Anurag made this change. And earlier, this was the file. Exactly, this was the file. Okay. And this guy made a change, and he will put all those details when he made the change and everything. Okay. Tomorrow, say Ayush want to make a change. So Ayush will just simply ask the file from the version control system. Version control system will give him the new file which Anurag has made a change. Then Ayush will take that, make a change, and put it there. Okay. Now same thing, it will make a entry of it. It will keep an entry within it. Okay, within itself, that Ayush was the one who made a change. Before Ayush, this is what the file was, and now it is this file. Okay. Now if somebody, like, say if Pooja tried to act smart, or say Nikhil tried to act smart and try to delete the file. Okay. First thing is that we will not be giving them the control of the main file. Okay. They can, all they what they are getting, they are not making direct changes to the file itself. They are always getting the copy of the file. Okay. And then they are making the changes. Now say Pooja and Nikhil, even if they made the changes, say Nikhil got into some other company, Pooja is getting into some other company. Okay. And they are having some problem with me. Okay. They don't, from quite some time, these guys wanted to do something to me, but they couldn't, obviously. So they did this way. Okay. So what they are doing now is they are pushing their changes. Okay, so for example, they took a file which is having all the changes, like obviously it has all the data. Pooja and Nikhil removed all those changes and pushed the file. Okay, now version control system will take that file also. So the latest file, the latest file which we have in the version control system is blank. It has no data. It has no data, right? That's a problem here. Okay, and these guys have left the company as well. Now I'll be like, what man? These guys have taken all the stuff. All I need to do now is I just have to come in the version control system. I just have to take the file just before this version, just before this version, because Nikhil and Pooja can make a new version, but they will not be removing the previous version, right? Because that is not the permission which I have given. So in my Git control system, I can give the permissions. I can decide who will access what. All those permissions can also be given. So the permission given to these guys is they can only push the changes. They cannot remove the previous versions, right? So in this way, our version control system is helping us in maintaining the data, correct? Anybody has any doubt? Okay, while I'm just seeing what all you have put on the chat while I was talking, who will give the authority to change? Ashish, that again depends, right? In a company when you work, or say even if in your college or somewhere else, so whoever is doing the setup, right, there will be people who will be first installing the software. They'll be having these access and all. They will give you the access. So that is how they do it. Sir, is there any limit how many versions? No, there is no limit as such, Rohit. And all these versions again, Nikhil, is being stored in your version control system. Okay, a version control system which is basically having it. Okay, cool. Mhm. Now, before Git, right now I'm not talking about Git. Okay, right now I'm not talking about Git. I'm just talking about a version control system. Now, before Git, we had other version control system. Okay, for example, we had a version control system called TFS, Team Foundation Server. Okay, Team Foundation Server. So this is like one of the server. We had SVN, source something they used to call it SVN. Okay, so we had these system, and these were, they like, we usually call them a centralized version control. I'll just call it as VCS. Okay, like you, I don't want to write it again and again. So we have centralized version control, right? Now, what is the centralized version control system? Understand what it is. Okay, now consider again the same stuff. Okay, so say suppose Nikhil is there in the team. Okay, and we have a system here. Okay, this is my version control system. Okay, till now I'm not, so till now I haven't talked specifically about Git. Okay, whatever I'm talking right now is just about the version control system. Okay, and now I'm specifically talking about TFS and SVN, how they used to operate. Now, they were centralized version control system. Why I'm talking about centralized version system? Because our Git is a decentralized. So first you understand what is centralized, then you will understand what is decentralized. Okay. Now, so we had this version control system. Okay. Now, what happens, right? Consider this system is there. Now, usually now consider what is happening, that you have a project. Say suppose project, in simple terms, consider you have a new folder here, or any folder you have. This folder has two files. This folder has two files. Okay, now what Nikhil did, right? Nikhil took the files. Okay, but what Nikhil want to do, right? Nikhil is actually working on two tasks. He's working on two tasks. He's working on two tasks. And say suppose this new folder has another new folder, and within that again you have some files. Okay, for one of his tasks, what Nikhil has to do, Nikhil has to make changes in the new folder slash text one file, text1.txt. Just think this. So for the task one, he has to make a change in the text1.txt. Okay, okay, and for task 2, the second task which he has, there he has to make changes in the new folder slash text 4.txt. So he has to make changes into two different files. And these two changes are entirely different. These two changes are entirely different. Okay, completely different changes they are. Now, in a normal centralized system, like how earlier it was, right? What is happening? Nikhil is getting the copy of the thing which is in the version control system in his local system. Okay. So this is say Nikhil local system. He also got the same files. Okay. Now Nikhil made the changes. Okay. Nikhil made the changes. Now say now what Nikhil want to do? Nikhil want to move. Nikhil want to move his changes to the version control. Nikhil want to move his changes to version control. The problem is, for whatever reason, the internet connectivity is not there. The internet connectivity is not there when he's pushing the changes. So we call it as pushing the changes. He has the changes, he are pushing the changes. So he's trying to push the changes to the version control system, but it is not working because the connectivity is not there. Okay. Now, because the connectivity is not there, what is happening? Nikhil is not able to push his changes to the version control system. He made changes in the text1.txt. Okay. Now he wants to, so even though his task is completed in text1, he want to make in text4. Okay. He want to make a change in text4. He cannot make a change in text4 because he first want to move his current changes to the version control system, and then only he will work on this second change, because if he directly work on both the changes at once, it will cause some problem. Just think in this sense. So but because the connectivity is not there, he is not able to move forward also. Why? Because the system is centralized. You have only one place from where you take it and one place where you put it. Okay. Did you guys understand what is the problem? Did you guys understand what is the problem which Nikhil is facing right now, and what is the problem with the centralized system? No, there is a copy. There is a copy, Nikhil. It's not that there is not a copy. Copy hai. So एक copy आ रहा है ना अपने पास. So we are getting a copy. The problem is we are not able to move that copy to the main version control system because of say connectivity issue or anything. Correct. That is also fine, Piyush. They can do it. They can. So Piyush is saying work on a single file at a time. Correct. So he worked on a single file, made the changes, but again what he need to do, right? He has to first move those changes to the version control system so that he can work on the second file. Because he's not able to move his changes to the version control system, he's not able to work on the second file, because these are two different tasks, right? A two different tasks should be done in a two different way. Okay. I'm just waiting for one more. I'm just asking one more time. Are you guys clear with the centralized system and what is the problem which we have? Yes? Okay. So this is all we have in the, and this is what we had. TFS and SVN were these kind of systems. So they were centralized systems. Then came the concept of Git. Okay. Now Git is again a version control system. And here the things change a little different here. Here things changed. Now Git version control system just told that I will tell you how to maintain the versions. I will tell you how to maintain the versions. Okay. Now how do you want to implement it? It's up to you. Okay. Now how do you want to implement it is up to you. It might be a little confusing. Just be with me. Okay. Now what Git did. Okay. Consider you have something called GitHub. Now GitHub is your centralized system. So when I say centralized system, that means this is a system. GitHub is a system. GitHub is a system which is basically containing all your files. All your files are there within your GitHub. Okay. Now, again, we have Nikhil here. Okay. Now, Nikhil is working on one and two tasks. One place he has to make the change in text one. Another one, he have to make a change in text two. Okay. Now, what Nikhil did, right? When he said, give me the data, okay, when he asked the centralized system, give me the data, what this centralized system did, right? It gave all the data to Nikhil also. Okay. So basically, what happened in the previous case, Nikhil also get the data, right? In the centralized system, also Nikhil got the data. The difference here is here here he also got the capability. Here he also got the capability to push the changes. Again, whatever the changes he has done, he can push all those changes to his local system. So what is happening? See, there is a difference here. It might be a little, it could be a little different for difficult for you to grasp. Just listen to me what I'm saying. In the previous case, what has happened? Nikhil is asking for the files, okay, and he's getting all the files. That is what was happening in the previous centralized system. In the decentralized system, what is happening? When Nikhil is asking for the change, asking for the file from the Git, right? What Git is giving him? Git is giving him a subsystem which has all the Git capabilities. Git is giving a subsystem which has all the Git capabilities. So just understand this. Consider this code which you have here. This is your remote. Remote means in your centralized system. Okay. Now, when Nikhil asked for the copy from the remote, what remote did? Remote gave all the copy to it. And what Git did? Git is a program. It's software which is installed in Nikhil computer. What it did? It basically created a local repository as well. What is a repository? A repository is collection of files basically. Okay, so you have a remote repository. What it did, it basically created a local copy of the entire repository. Okay, with the features, with the all the features which you have with the remote repository. That means in the previous case, whenever Nikhil was making the changes, he was pushing all his changes to the centralized system directly. And if the centralized system is not working, he's not able to push his changes. Correct? If the centralized system is working, he can push his changes to the system, right? If centralized system for whatever reason is not working, that means the connectivity is not there. He is not able to push his changes. Now, what Git does, Git says, whenever you are making changes or anything, you make or you push the changes to your local repository. So, what will happen? Consider you have okay, maybe before this, okay, so let's just go back. This may be confusing. Let me go back to the decentralized system again, sorry, centralized system again. There you will get some idea. There you will get, because this could be a bit confusing. Okay, let me just think of a different way. Okay, consider this decentralized way only. Okay, sorry, centralized system. I'm again talking about this SVN thing. Okay, now in the corporate world, one, yes, Nikhil, that also means that, I mean, it does mean that also. Just wait a minute, huh? Let me explain this thing again one more time. Okay, now what I was telling you, right? So usually how the work happens, right? So you have a, say, version control system. Okay, version control system. So usually how these version control system usually works, right? Consider you have, say, a main repository. So when I say repository, right, repository is nothing but a collection of files and everything, folder and everything. Okay, so consider we have one repository. Okay, so we have one repository here, and usually we used to call it as some name, like consider this is my original repository. Okay, this is my original repository which I'm keeping. Now say again the thing is Nikhil. So Nikhil is working on two tasks, one and two. Okay, I'll call it as task one and task two. Okay, so what usually happens, Nikhil will first in the version control system itself will create a copy. So Nikhil will request version control system to create a copy. So what this version control system will do, it will first create a copy, and we call this thing something called branch. So when we are creating a copy from the main system, from the main repository, right, and creating a new copy of it, we call it as a different branch. It's a branch. Okay, it's a different branch. So consider this was my original branch. We created a second branch, and in the second branch we gave the name as task one. So this is my task one branch. Clear or confusion ho gaya? Are you guys clear what I said here, like whatever I told here? right? Okay, so what we did, see, we do not make changes directly to the original one, right? We do not make direct changes to the original one, because a lot of people will be making changes to original, then it will become a problem. What they first do, they first create a branch. So for example, if I need to make some changes to the original, first I will take a different copy of the original, keep it in the repository itself, and then what I will do, I will take the copy of this guy. I will take the copy of this guy. So Nikhil took the copy of the task 1 branch. He took the copy of task 1 branch. Now he did some changes to it. He did some changes to it and he pushed the changes. He pushed the changes. When I say push the changes, that means he basically move the changes to the repository. So he moved the changes to the task 1 branch. All good, no problem whatsoever. Okay, now once his task 1 is completed, that means all the changes what he wanted to make, all those changes are being done in the task 1 branch. Then what they do a something called merge. They do a operation which is called merge branch. So they are merging the branch now. So we have task 1 branch which has some changes, and then you have the original branch which has some changes, which is the original one. So what will happen, we will make task merge with version with the original one, and we will get a new original which is having the changes whatever you had earlier plus the changes we had for the task 1. So it will have the changes of both, and this will become the new original. Clear? Clear with creating a branch and pushing the changes to the branch? Okay. Now this is what we were doing. All good. Now what happened, task 1 Nikhil did, and all good. Okay. Now say Nikhil is working on two things. He's working on task 2 and he's also working on task 3. He's working on two tasks right now again. Okay. Now in this particular case, what happened, both the task he's currently working on, okay, what he did, he created two different branches. Obviously this was your main branch. From this main branch he created two different branches. One was task 2 and one was task 3. ठीक है. Now what he did, in his computer system, he took the task 2 branch while working on the task 2 changes. Now what has happened, he is done with the changes. Okay, so he has made all the changes what he wanted to make in the task 2. He has done all the changes. Now he want to push those changes back to task 2 remote. But while doing so, there is a say internet connection or some other problem is happening. He is not able to move his changes to task 2. He is not able to move his task 2. Now because he is not able to move to task 2, he cannot take task 3. Why? Because the moment he'll try to take task 3, whatever was there for task 2 will be removed, right? Because in his system he's having one copy at a time, right? He's having one copy at a time. So either he will be this or that. Correct? He's not able to do both the things. Correct? Clear? So if he moves to task 3, he will lose the changes for that one. Okay? So that was a problem. And that is the main thing. So when you have the centralized system, this this copy which I'm talking, the branch which he has created, that entire branch and making changes to that branch is completely with the version control system. That means on the centralized system. You cannot make all those things from your local. So every time you have to contact the centralized system to make the changes. Every time you have to make the changes to the centralized system. Clear? I hope now you are clear with why Nikhil is not able to make changes to both the ones at the same time. Anyone has any doubt? Okay. So this is the problem. This was the problem with the centralized system. So now the concept of Git comes. Okay. Now what Git is doing? Git says, okay, no problem. It means every time we save first branch, then edit another branch. Yeah, usually you do. So at a time, what you do, Pushkar, here, you work on one branch, make the changes to your work one branch, move those changes, and then you move to the another branch. Because if you move to the another branch before itself, it's not that you cannot move. You can move, but whatever the changes you have done for the previous branch will be gone because it will overwrite. Because you are pulling a new version, right? You are having a new version, so the older version will get overridden. Okay. So whichever branch you will take in your system, those changes will be there. The other one will be removed. Clear? Anyone has any doubt? Because this is kind of important, right? Because people can ask you question on this thing. So Harsh, you have asked one question. No, he will not have the access because that access will be removed, right, for that person. Because if one person is leaving one company, all his access will be usually removed. All will be done series wise. What is the companies still use? So companies, most of the companies nowadays do not use centralized system. However, you can see that also there is a possibility that you may see people using SPN, but it's the likelihood is very very less. So normal version system is basically, Anurag, is your central versions, like your centralized version system. All will be done series wise, usually. Yes. Practical will have an Ashwar after 9 o'clock. So once I'll tell you this entire concept, then we will have practical, because you guys tell right that theory to hota hai, but practical is a bit fast. So I want to take 1 hour for the practical thing. Okay. Now the concept of Git comes, and once the Git came, the concept of decentralized system came up. Okay. Decentralized or distributed, we can say. When we say distributed, that means it is being distributed at multiple places. So now what happens? Same case, you have Nikhil. Okay, he is working on two tasks. Task one again, and task two. Two tasks he's currently working on, and you still have a centralized system, because code has to be kept in one single place, right? It has to be kept in one single place. There could be a possibility that this one single place may have a different backup. You can have a backup. That means whatever data you are having here, you are also having one data here, so that if someday something happens here, you can use this. A backup can be there, but again, it is still centralized. It has the data in one place. Distributed in what sense, you will get now. Okay. So you have, say, GitHub. I'm taking GitHub as the remote one. Okay. Now you have the main data here. I'm just taking the same example here. Consider like this. So you have like this your main branch. Okay. This is your original, or I could say in your Git terms, we call it as master. So this is your master branch, which has all the changes, initial changes. Now Nikhil want to make some changes. So what Nikhil will do? Nikhil will make some changes. That means he will first create a copy of it, a different branch he will create. So he has created a branch called task one. Okay, he had created what? A branch. Okay. Now what Nikhil did? Nikhil took and he also created, say, branch two. So this is the another branch, which is your task two. Now, what Nikhil did, right? When Nikhil copied the changes in the sense when it pulled the changes from your GitHub, what happened in Nikhil local system, what happened? A copy of entire system came up. That means now he has branch one and branch two. He has both the branches, and that happens in your previous version control system as well. Obviously, they do get both the branches. Okay, because they can move between the branches. Okay, now he made the changes to the task one. See, here the change happens. So when earlier he was making the changes to the task one, what he was doing, he was moving all the changes to the task one branch, which is there in the centralized repository. Okay, in the case of Git, what he does, he first make all those changes to his local repository. So for local repository, it does. So internet is not necessary now. Right now it is not necessary. So when he is making the changes, at that time internet is not necessary. He could make a change here itself without any problem. Okay. And after that, once he has made all the changes to the local repository, what he can do, he can then move to task 2, make the changes to the task 2 repository. That means task 2 branch. This is task 1 branch. He made the changes in the task 1 branch. He made the changes in the task 2 branch. Both the branches he made the changes. Okay. And when he came, say for example, earlier, say he was in plane, he was in a flight, and he made all the changes, and at that time internet was not there, and he made the changes both branches. Okay, now the moment he come online, what all he need to do is he just need to move the changes to the remote. He just need to move the changes to the remote. So automatically whatever the changes he did in here, that means task 1 and task 2 branches in his local will automatically will get synced with these two. And once all that stuff is done, what he can do, he can merge the branches. So this will get merged, okay, then this change will get merged, and this is the change, this is a new branch which has both task 1 data and task 2 data. I hope this entire thing is clear. Don't worry, we will be going through the practicals, you will get that entire thing. But do you have any doubt in the theory? So when we say copy hertz, they usually in their office computers, right? So it should be fine, right? Anyhow, they have to leave their computers, right? Their laptops. Anyone has any doubt? See, guys, again, so we have 50 people. I'm asking again and again. Why? I just want to make sure that you know the differences, why and what. Okay, cool. So I hope everyone knows about it. Okay, now this is what Git does. Now, when a user using a file and other user also access it same time, huh, they can do it. But again, Nikhil, they are doing in their own computer. So there could be other person. Consider we have say Ashish also. So Ashish also took the task 1. But again, the changes which Ashish is doing, he is doing his local system. When he'll be pushing those changes to the later point of time, he'll be pushing those changes. So you are also making the changes. He can also make those changes. So Rohit, usually we have again. So when you're saying a person make a malicious changes in the Git, we have this concept that usually in a company nobody can simply. So this merge operation which I'm talking about, this merge operation is actually has to be approved by somebody. So in the previous example, if I am the team lead, I will approve the changes. Then only Nikhil will be able to move his changes to here. We will talk about that in some time. Mukesh is saying he did not. Mukesh, I guess you have the some connectivity issues, so you have to see the video, man. Okay, it is decentralized. Yes, Mantu, this is decentralized. Why this is decentralized? Because in centralized system, every time to make your final changes, you have to talk to your centralized system, right? In this case, every user is getting its own system, right? So he's getting his own copy here where he could make the changes. Even Ashish got his own copy where he could make the changes. So in a way, what happened? It got decentralized. दोनों के दोनों decentralized हो गए. Got it? Mantu, sorry. Mantu or Mantu. I mean, okay, okay. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Sorry, yeah. Mantu, okay. Centralized itself means all peeps can have access. Decentralized doesn't mean that everyone will have access. Decentralized means everyone will have their own copy where they could make changes whenever they want. They do not need to wait for centralized system to make their changes, to move their changes. Yes, you can, Nikhil. Again, that depends. If they have put any sort of a permission issue or something like that, then maybe you will not be. But in most cases, yes, you should be able to do that. So Anurag, when I was asking everyone, I don't know how many times I must have asked that, did you guys understand the centralized system? Did you guys understand the centralized system? I don't think you pinged me at that time. Let's see. So in question and answer section, you did not answer. You did not ask me that thing, that you did not understand the centralized system. Okay, let's go back on the top. So here you said, please summarize the centralized system. And at this point of time, I had already started talking about the decentralized system. Okay, let's see on the top. What is the basic difference? So you were asking the basic difference between a normal version control system and the central. So this is something I answered you. So a usual system, a normal version control system earlier, TFS and SVN were actually same as version control system and central system. So they basically they were synonyms. They were same. It just Git, when the Git came and you had the concept of decentralized, at that time the thing happened. Okay, let's see if you asked anything on the centralized system before. So here you were asking about some conditions. So I asked you at that point of time what exact conditions you were asking. You did not reply anywhere. Okay. If I think I did ask him, right, that can you tell me what exact conditions are you talking about? Just put it on the chat and I will answer that. Okay. And then here we were talking about the centralized system. So what I'm trying to tell is I don't have a problem in explaining. Okay. The only thing which I'm asking you guys is when I'm explaining one topic at that point of time, if you can ask your question, because I'm literally waiting for you guys to ask the question at that point of time, because I want to clear one thing and move to the other one. Okay. Exactly. So the thing is, when you have a centralized system, what happens? The changes which you make, which becomes kind of part of the repository, right? They always have to be communicated. They always have to be communicated to the centralized system. And if the centralized system, for whatever reason, have any connectivity issues, right? You will not be able to move your changes to the centralized system, and because you are not able to move your changes to the centralized system, you will not be able to work on a different change, because the moment you will move from one branch to another branch, the changes which you did for the first branch will get overridden. The changes which you did for the first branch will get overridden. Okay, that is why the concept of decentralized came. So what is happening with the decentralized? Everyone is getting its own copy of that small version control system, right? What is a version control system? Which is keeping a track of who did what, all that stuff, right? When you're working with a decentralized system, everyone, the moment you take the copy from it, right, the moment you take a copy, you also get a small version control system for yourself within your computer itself, where first you will make the changes. Once you have made all the changes, now you don't directly need to talk to centralized system, okay, a center thing. First you make the changes to your local system, then you can make that change, and you can pass that change to your main local sorry main your main remote repository. Is it clear now, Anurag? Okay. And please, when I'm asking you the questions at that time, when I'm asking ki bhaiya bata do, so it will be a lot more easier, right? So that's the thing, because then I'll be having the example with me, right? When I'm in that particular flow, so I can complete that topic, and rest of the people will also enjoy that thing. That is the main reason I'm asking, right? Because the people who understood it, they can also answer in the chat, and then we can complete one topic and then move to another one. That's all what I'm saying. Okay. Don't worry, when we'll do this entire thing, you will get it. What is, no, overridden? So for override karna, right, you have one thing, you put something on top of it, so what happened? The This thing is gone, right? So you have overridden that.